I will there be light. You will there be light. What's good, fam? We made it to lesson 73 of A Course in Miracles. And me and you will there be light. Me and you decree that there be light. Me and you intend there be light. Me and you expect there be light. Me and you propose there will be light. Me and you designed that there will be light. Me and you will there be light. That is our will, that is God's will, and those are one, and they cannot be separate from one another. Now we're going to dive straight into this lesson today, and we're going to understand why this pure, loving state of mind that we've been practicing for the last 73 days is our will. This is everybody's will, and it cannot be forgotten. It's only, like we talk about so much of the time, whenever we're asleep and we're identifying with the ego, we think that we want something other than this state of mind. But we don't understand when we're asleep that we think something out there is going to get us to feel the way that we do now. Because regardless of what anybody wants in this world, whether it be a relationship or a physical possession or whatever it may be, they believe they want that because they believe it will make them feel better in the having of it. That is why me and you want anything. You want something because you believe you will feel better in the attainment of it. You believe you will feel more secure or more prosperous, or you will feel more loved, or more whatever it is that you're looking for. And today we're going to understand that our will is that we recognize that we are already all those attributes that we're searching for out there. When we know that, that's super powerful, because now we're no longer needing anything from the world. We are free. We have detached from everything. And surprisingly enough, those things begin to form into our experience. They begin to be attracted into our experience, if you will. They begin to flow our way. This is not wishful thinking. This is how mind affects matter. This is how powerful me and you are. So let's go ahead and dive straight into this. If you got the book, you already know what to do. If you don't got the book yet, hit me up and I got you. And for the meantime, we are going to use the PDF that is provided in the description. And just a little friendly reminder, this is so much more powerful, especially now that we're getting into the deeper lessons, that we see these words together, meaning it's okay if you listen to me read this, but if you want the maximum benefit, it is best if you read these words with me on the page and we read these together. So if that's possible, pull up the PDF for the book and let's start today's lesson. Very powerful lesson. Today, we are considering the will you share with God. This is not the same as the ego's idle wishes, out of which darkness and nothingness arise. The will you share with God has all the power of creation in it. The ego's idle wishes are unshared and therefore have no power at all. Its wishes are not idle in the sense that they can make a world of illusions in which you believe can be very strong. But they are idle indeed in terms of creation. They make nothing that is real. Again, this goes back to what we were saying. Whenever we are identified with the ego, whenever we think that we are this body, this skin and bone, and we think that we are this, and then we die and we don't even know what happens next, that's just the state of mind of forgetfulness, because me and you as love and light and remembering who we are cannot forget that. That is our will to understand how this universe operates and who and what we are and the power that lies within us and how connected me and you are to everyone and everything. That is our will, this remembrance of this information. But we forgot due to the environment we grew up in, and everyone was asleep, and we grew up learning from all these people who were teaching fear and the illusion, and we ended up learning that as well. And now here we are undoing everything that we have learned that is blocking us from perceiving our will. Whenever we are identified with the ego, again, and this goes over what we already said perfectly, The ego's idle wishes are for you to search but never find, for you to look out there in a person or a place or a thing or a situation. You want this thing in order to feel good enough, because you believe that you don't feel good enough already. You believe that you are not good enough already. But if you knew who you were, which I'm pretty sure you do by now, me and you, and we could forget this sometimes, but whenever we are in this remembrance, we know that we are good enough. We are more than good enough. We are as God created us, still, always have been, and will forever be as God created us. And nothing can change that, not even our forgetfulness, not even us falling asleep for the majority of our lives can change the fact that me and you are the Son of God, children of God. We are creations of God. We are extensions of pure positive source energy. We are extensions of that higher power that everything here that we see has originated from. There is not anything that did not come from God. And whenever we perceive any worry or doubt or fear, that is not really there, because again, there is not anything that did not come from the oneness which me and you came forth from, whatever you want to call that. So whenever we see something other than love, which is all that is, we are simply not seeing it all. We are hallucinating. We are seeing an illusion of our own making in our mind. We are believing that there is some lack that exists within something that is invulnerable and whole. We are perceiving that lack, and the ego, what it does is projects it out there so that way you could think the problem's out there. But you have to understand, and I have to understand whenever we're asleep, that out there is one with us. We are one with and a part of everything in this world. That mic, I am one with. You, I am one with. Me, you are one with. Your worst enemy, you are one with. We are one with everything in this world, because we are all here extensions of the one. Meaning, whenever you look at anything outside of you without love, you are really looking at an aspect of yourself without love. Therefore, that's your work. You need to understand that only love exists. That is my work. I need to understand that only love exists. And the fact that I'm seeing anything other than love and light out there, in that moment, I am asleep to my will, which is, I will there be light. So let's go ahead and continue, but just keep that in mind, that this work is causing us to look at everything that we perceive unlovingly and understand that we are perceiving falsely. Idle wishes are grievances and partners or co-makers in picturing the world you see. The wishes of the ego gave rise to it, and the ego's need for grievances, which are necessary to maintain it, peoples it with figures that seem to attack you and call for righteous judgment. These figures become the middlemen of the ego, the ego employs to traffic grievances. They stand between your awareness and your brother's reality. Beholding them, you do not know your brothers or yourself. Now remember, we can't know ourselves if we don't know our brother out there, meaning we can't know who we really are if we forget that they are one with us. We don't know ourselves fully if we fall asleep to the fact that that person over there is another aspect of who we are. Now again, I always have to continue to mention this, because since me and you are unlearning all of our past thinking, we have to keep in mind that depending on where we are in relationship to this information, this may sound conceptual if you're really far from this information, or you will know this to be truth and how everything is working. Now, saying that everything is one with us and we are one with everything, and that thing out there, that person is another aspect of who we are, may sound pretty conceptual, because whenever I wasn't anywhere near this magnitude and in this frequency and kind of anchored in this state, I would hear something like that and it would sound like cool. But whenever you really know that everything out there is just a reflection of you, then it really makes you think, why am I looking at another aspect of myself without love? That's something that is telling me more about myself than it is about what's actually reflecting back to me. And remember, because we are unlearning everything of this world, me and you most likely still have brown tinted sunglasses on. And although we hear these words, it is going to be hard for us to accept them because we are perceiving them with the brown tinted lenses on, which means that we are going to have to be willing to remove the glasses, remove the ego, and be willing to absorb this knowledge and kind of have it on repeat and replay and repetition, so that way we can start adapting to the terminology, start adapting to the ideas, and adapting to the intention behind these words and know them to be true. Because anybody who is identifying with the ego, which is not truth, can misinterpret what anything is saying for that fact. So we just have to keep an eye out for any signs of the ego trying to enter in, making it appear like this is something that is woo woo, because that is furthest from what this is. This is truth, and this does not need to be challenged. It does not need to be defended. This just is. This is here for us in our experience, for us to reawaken to who we really are, and we have to keep that in mind. And one more thing I do want to say before we continue is, if you are like myself, where you are very eager to remind others of who they really are, and you are eager about sharing this information, do as you please, but just be very intentional and deliberate with who you share this information with at first, because at first you are still in your identification with the ego from time to time. And at first I was back and forth, meaning I still had doubt about this information because I didn't know it fully. I didn't know it wholly. And I'm saying right now, most likely because of all of our unlearning that needs to be done, me and you don't know this to be holy. We haven't fully adapted our beingness in living in this type of knowledge, so whenever we share it with somebody else, their disbelief and doubt about hearing something of this magnitude is something they're going to speak about. They're going to tell you their opinions about it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But my whole point of mentioning this is that if you are not anchored in this state, then most likely their doubts about this information is going to pull you back in there, and it's going to get you doubtful as well, because you haven't really practiced this enough to the point where you know this to be true, and nothing can change your opinion about that. Nothing can change your knowingness about what the truth really is. Now, I just thought that was a good thing to mention, because I'm not sure where you are in relationship to this information, but in my experience, that's one of the first things I did, was go share it out with everyone that I loved and cared for, and they reflected their own disbelief outward, and that kind of detoured me from this work a little bit because it took me down from that state of mind. So until you're really on this level on a basis more often than not, then you can go about sharing it with others. And also, you can share it right now, but you have to make sure to use your discernment with who do you think is in the vicinity of hearing something of this magnitude, because remember, this is truth. This does not need to be defended. But knowing what we know as miracle workers, if you will, as teachers, we understand that people who fell asleep to this information their whole lives have done a complete 180 degree. So truth is this way, they're looking the direct opposition to truth, the opposite way, and they're perceiving with brown tinted lenses. And whenever they hear something of this nature, or anything for that matter, they are interpreting that information through the lenses that they are wearing, which means that you, as an individual who is in this remembrance, kind of have the discernment at this point to understand if somebody is ready for this, or if they are not quite going to grasp the ideas yet. So I just thought that I'd mention that, so that way we save ourselves all of the unnecessary, I don't want to say waste of time, but if someone's not ready, they're not ready. And we have to make sure at the end of the day that we get ourselves anchored in this state before we can go try to help everyone else. And we have to remember that we're helping everyone else right now just by being silent and emanating this truth outward. So me and you are doing more than enough here. Just know that your will is lost to you in this strange bartering in which guilt is traded back and forth and grievances increase with each exchange. Can such a world have been created by the will the Son of God shares with his Father? Did God create disaster for his Son? Creation is the will of both together. Would God create a world that kills himself? Those are some good questions to ponder, and I'm pretty sure if we really think about them, we know the answers to those questions. Today, we will try once more to reach the world that is in accordance with your will. The light is in it because it does not oppose the will of God. It is not heaven, but the light of heaven shines on it. Darkness has vanished. The ego's idle wishes have been withdrawn, yet the light that shines upon this world reflects your will, and so it must be in you that we will look for it. Your picture of the world can only mirror what is within. Beautiful, worthy of highlighting sentence right there. Your picture of the world can only mirror what is within. What's the best way to know what's within? What's the best way to know your beliefs that may be holding you back? What's the best way for me to know those thoughts that I think on a consistent basis that are causing me to not perceive the fullness of who I really am? Well, the best way to figure out that is to look out there in the world. What is capable of pushing my buttons? What happens on a consistent basis that keeps triggering me? Whether it's a certain person or a certain thing that somebody does or something that consistently happens that causes me to feel worry or doubt or any form of fear or any form of upset, that is my work. That is your work, because you should be untouchable. You should be untouchable because you are invulnerable to nothingness. This stuff is nothingness. It is dust. It is going to crumble away and be no more one day, because this is temporary. But who you really are, which is not the body but the life that animates this body, is eternal. Now, if something out there that is nothingness can push your buttons, it is good to know. That is really good to know, because now you know where your work is. And that means I need to forgive this person. I need to forgive myself for what I may have done in the past that caused me to feel this way towards this situation or this person. I need to say I'm sorry to this person, and not into their face. You don't have to do that. Do it in the comfort of your mind. You need to go within and conjure up their image right in front of you as if they were in front of you, and forgive them and forgive yourself and forgive whatever happened, and let it go, release it, and allow it to be no longer something that you're shackled to. Be free, because you are salvation. You are the light of the world, and you have to. Forgiveness is your function as the light of the world. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. Meaning, if you are not happy, if you're happy one moment and then something triggers you, causing you to be unhappy, remember, happiness and my function are one, and your function is forgiveness. Meaning, if something's able to get you out of balance, your work is to forgive. And until you forgive, you are going to continue to be thrown out of balance, and that is not your will. It is not your will to be uncontrollable. You are the authority in your life. You have dominion. You decide where your attention is pointing 24/7. So if something is triggering irrational and uncontrollable emotions, that's our work. That's really good to know. That should make you joyous, because now you know what to look for out there. You know what to look for. Just allow it to come up and you'll know, shit, I need to forgive this person, and then go about forgiving them, and you'll be free, and you'll set them free too, whether they know it or not. Remember, your picture of the world can only mirror what is within. The source of neither light nor darkness can be found without. Grievances darken your mind, and you look out on a darkened world. Forgiveness lifts the darkness, reasserts your will, and lets you look upon a world of light, which is our will. We have repeatedly emphasized that the barrier of grievances is easily passed and cannot stand between you and your salvation. The reason is very, very simple. Do you really want to be in hell? Do you really want to weep and suffer and die? Again, I believe we know the answer. Forget the ego's arguments, which seek to prove all this is really heaven. You know it is not so. You cannot want this for yourself. There is a point beyond which illusions cannot go. Suffering is not happiness, and it is happiness you really want. Such is your will in truth, and so salvation is your will as well. You want to succeed in what we are trying to do today. Me and you want to succeed in what we are trying to do today. We really do want to succeed. It is our will. You want to succeed in what we are trying to do today. We undertake it with your blessing and your glad accord. We will succeed today if you remember that you want salvation for yourself. You want to accept God's plan because you share in it. You have no will that can really oppose it, and you do not want to do so. Salvation is for you. Above all else, you want the freedom to remember who you really are. You want the freedom to know who you really are. And one thing I want to say before we continue is me and you in this moment, I believe, know who we really are, which is powerful. Me and you now need to stay in this state. And I'm going to give you a cool little trick that I do. And you're going to be different than me. And something different may work with you, but this is just what I suggest is after we go our separate ways every day, and you are left in this state of enlightenment, you are left in this state of this pure joy and outrageous love and just contentment and peace, stay here. You stay here. You milk this moment, meaning you do everything in your power to just focus on what's happening now and stay here for as long as possible. And whenever you feel you're deviating from this state of mind, and you'll know through the way you feel, whenever you feel your emotions begin to decrease and you're deviating from this state of mind, catch yourself right there and go back up by releasing the thought that caused you to get thrown out of balance. It's super easy with practice. You just have to be aware. Again, power of awareness. If I'm up here, top of the top, one with who I really am, and I know who I really am, and I am fulfilling my will, and I am fulfilling my function, I'm at the top of the top. Now, let's just say I begin to dig a hole for myself, okay? I dig a hole, and I'm already 2 feet deep in that hole. And I'm going to have to pull myself out of the hole at some point in time. Wouldn't it be more beneficial for me to get out of the hole while I'm 2 feet deep rather than continue to be unaware digging a hole for myself, and now I'm 6 feet deep and I have to get myself out of that hole now, and it's going to take more effort and more force, and you see how unnecessary that is? We have to just be aware, because that's what we're doing 24/7. Is after we are at this state of mind, we go back down, and it's much more easier to catch it while it's early before you begin to build up so much more momentum where you have a freaking a jackhammer just drilling all the way down. You have so much momentum going, it's going to be harder for you to get out of the hole you dug for yourself. And that is the only thing you need to be saved from, is your own hole that you're in. You need to be saved from the shackles that you placed on yourself, the hell that you made for yourself. I need to be saved from the hole that I dug myself in, the shackles that are on me that I placed there, and the hell that I made for myself. And the only way for us to do that is to, first of all, be aware, stay aware of everything we discuss. I promise you that is the answer, because when you're aware, you'll know. And if you're really willing to go back up, then you will make it a priority to do so. But just know that me and you are the only thing that is ever causing us to be thrown out of balance. Nothing in this world can throw you out of balance, because that is all that this world is. Nothing. So be glad, because although with these physical eyes everything appears so solid, it appears so physical, if you really look into everything we're discussing here and dive deep and begin to go deeper and deeper in the building blocks of what everything is consisting of, you will find out that this body, all the physical things that we see, is made up of atoms. And there's the nucleus consisting of a proton and a neutron, and then you have the electron orbiting around it. And what is keeping that electron in orbit around the nucleus? It is energy, frequency, vibration, meaning behind this solid matter that you think that you see and that I think that I see, it is really just empty space. It is energy, it is frequency, it is vibration, whatever word you would like to use, but it is electricity. It is who you really are. It is the life that you are, the source that you are. Now, remember, every single thought we think creates form on some level. So we are doing everything that we see out here collectively and to ourselves, meaning the faster that we become anchored in this state and we know that this is our will, and we become so unshakable that nothing out there can throw us out of this state of mind, now can we become the deliberate creators that we intended to be. And we can offer deliberate thought, intentional thought, and hold a picture in our mind of what we would desire to come to pass and have it come to pass. Just like that. That is how this world works. And me and you are becoming great creators as we once were. We just have to kind of sweep away and chip away all of the dust and the stone that we have put there over years of forgetfulness that is causing us from being the greatest that we can be. So this work is our will. Salvation is for me and you. Above all else, we want the freedom to remember who we really are. Today, it is the ego that stands powerless before your will. Your will is free, and nothing can prevail against it. Therefore, we undertake the exercises for today in happy confidence, certain that we will find what it is your will to find. And remember what it is your will to remember. No idle wishes can detain us, nor deceive us with an illusion of strength. Today, let your will be done and end forever the insane belief that it is hell in place of heaven that you choose. We will begin our longer practice periods with the recognition that God's plan for salvation, and only His, is wholly in accord with your will. It is not the purpose of an alien power thrust upon you unwillingly. It is the one purpose here on which you and your Father are in perfect accord. Now, I'm going to emphasize that real quick because that's very powerful. It is not an alien power that is thrust upon us unwillingly. Most people believe that whenever they hear the word God's will, it is something that you don't want, and it is just an alien power being thrust upon you. But we have to understand that God's will is our will, and it is the one purpose here on which me and my Father are in perfect accord. We want what God wants for us because is that not who we are? You will succeed today. The time appointed for the release of the Son of God from hell and from all idle wishes. His will is now restored to his awareness. He is willing this very day to look upon the light in him and be saved. After reminding yourself of this and determining to keep your will clearly in mind, tell yourself with gentle firmness and quiet certainty, I will there be light. Let me behold the light that reflects God's will and mine. Then let your will assert itself, joined with the power of God and united with yourself. Put the rest of the practice period under their guidance. Join with them as they lead the way. In the shorter practice periods, again, make a declaration of what you really want. Say, I will there be light. Darkness is not my will. This should be repeated several times an hour. It is most important, however, to apply today's idea in the form immediately you are tempted to hold grievances of any kind. Meaning, if something does something out there in this world to push your buttons, use this tool in that moment. This will help you let your grievances go instead of cherishing them and hiding them in darkness. Beautiful lesson. We are going to ponder this today. We are going to use this tool that was given to us. Me and you have 73 tools now, meaning we've had 73 lessons that we've covered so far, and we could consider each one of these lessons a tool, and we're going to use these when we fall asleep or when we catch ourselves drifting off. We just have to be aware, and whenever we're aware of that, we are going to use these tools. And we have much more than 73, but whatever it takes for you to wake back up, this is your will. This is where you want to be. The state of mind of love and light and unshakableness and peace and invulnerability and light and creation and expansion and eternalness. This state of mind is our will. And me and you are here together. We are one. And whenever we need each other, we are going to call upon each other, and we are going to keep each other in our remembrance when we fall asleep. And me and you will remind each other of what our will is. You have to make sure that this is your number one priority starting from now on. And this is not going to take away from anything else that you're doing out there in the world, but we have to understand that all of that is going to play out much more better in a way that we cannot even begin to think of when we are in this state of mind. So let's make sure that this is our number one priority from here on out, and we will continue to repeat that this is our number one priority. Staying woke, use these tools whenever necessary. And again, one more time, this was lesson 73 of A Course in Miracles. Me and you, will there be light? And we will meet here tomorrow for lesson 74.